We are well into our third week of this Canada Post strike, and now people are calling for the government to intervene because people feel as though enough is enough, and they're really looking for workers to go back and start delivering mail. Let's discuss it in today's video with a few articles that we wanted to look at about the Canada Post strike. We're well into our third week, like I said earlier, and it really does suck because Christmas season is well upon us. It's well in December now. This is December 4th as the time of the recording of this video, and I wanted to go over a City News article here. City News is headquarters is in Toronto, but so this is going to be specifically about Ontario's postal workers on the strike, but it also is just the bigger picture here with all of the union workers across the entire country that are currently striking. Let's talk about this here. Pressure rises on federal government to intervene in Canada Post strike. Now, the Canada Post employees and supporters rally at Canada Post headquarters in Ottawa Thursday, November 28th, 2024, and I think that was like one of the last days that they were actually talking to the union and corporate entities. They actually were having discussions. Since then, they've broken down completely. The business community is ramping up pressure to the federal government to intervene in the ongoing Canada Post strike, which is on its 20th day. So, yeah, basically 3 weeks at this point where we still have the strike going on. Now, this was posted on December 4th, the time of recording for this video, the same day, so this should be relatively new news to everyone out here watching this channel. The business community is ramping up pressure on the federal government to intervene in the ongoing Canada Post strike, which is on its 20th day. The Retail Council of Canada said Tuesday that the strike by more than 55,000 workers countrywide is putting businesses and their employees in jeopardy. And I already know just from reading some of the comments in my latest Canada Post videos that there are some businesses that are not just struggling, that are on the verge of closing down as we speak right now. The federal government has so far resisted calls for it to intervene in the strike, even though it intervened in other labor disputes earlier this year. Now, a lot of this is kind of political theater, I want to call it, because now there is some political parties that are very pro-union, like the NDP. In fact, we've seen Jagmeet Singh actually marching with a lot of these union workers who are on strike right now. So obviously, they are not going to force them to go back to work because it doesn't really bode well for their political party and just like the message, the political messaging behind that. Same thing as the Liberal Party. They may not be as pro-union as the NDP is, but they still do share a lot of union sympathies, and a lot of union workers still vote for the Liberal Party in general, right? So the least, I guess, union party would be the Conservative Party, and they have been calling for the government to intervene and put an end to the strike as we speak right now. Federal mediation was put on pause last week as the two sides appear too far apart to reach an agreement. So, and that agreement apparently was 22% raises. They said 11%, and that wasn't enough. And the fact that they also don't want to work on weekends, there was just too many heads butting there, and they split and they stopped talking. But there is a chance they might begin talks this week, and we are hopeful that that may be the case because we really want to see them go back to work. So the Christmas season isn't completely ruined for some people. Canada Post said it presented a new framework for reaching agreements over the weekend to the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, which it said needs to see key issues like wages and the expansion of postal services addressed before it can make a deal. One of the key issues is bargaining has been to push the expand Canada Post delivery to weekends, like I was just saying earlier, as the two sides disagree over the best way to make that happen. So it feels like, from what I've heard as well in other articles, that they want to get the part-time workers to start doing the weekend deliveries. A lot of the older union staff are not really okay with that at all. In fact, they want more overtime for these particular weekend days. And honestly, I don't blame them. Weekends was never part of the work process for Canada Post for the decades upon decades that the Canada Post has been an actual entity for Canada and the Postal Service. So weekends is almost like a no-go. It's almost a non-starter for a lot of union workers, especially the older union workers, people who've been working there since like the 70s, 80s, and even 90s, right? Anyone maybe 2000 above might have seen some of the changes, and they might be okay with it depending on, the framework. Again, this is a lot of it is based on the framework and how this is going to be implemented moving forward. Now, we know that weekend deliveries is something Canada Post has been eyeing for a very long time. They just haven't really been able to get there. They haven't been able to get the employees who work for the company to actually agree upon the framework that would be set into play. And obviously, cost of living raises are a thing as well with inflation, but this inflation battle is not just facing Canada Post employees, it's facing all Canadians across the entire country. So it's very tough for them to get the public support and get the mass majority of people who aren't, union workers on their side, people who aren't unionized for their work, or they're entrepreneurs, and people who have small businesses who are being affected by this. I just can't see them, joining the side of the Canada Post workers during this strike. It's been very contentious from the start, but let me know your thoughts about this strike down below in the comment section. And do you think it's going to end this week? I'm hopeful that it might, but even if it does, I think that the writing is on the wall for Canada Post. I don't see the company being strong and, as big as it is in the next 5 to 10 years with all of the competition, but that's maybe thoughts for another video. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.